to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Our favorite friend is back, Vita, for WTF, Window Treatment Friday. We have a lot of ground to cover today in this show, but I have a couple of upcoming opportunities that I want to share with you before we start talking with Vita. All right. Exciting Windows, which you may have heard by now that Vin, Bill, and myself are now the majority owners, is hosting a conference in New Jersey on October 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's this October 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2021. And this conference is called the CEO Conference because in this conference, it's an annual conference every fall, we cover everything the CEO needs to know. So in this particular conference, we're covering managing for profit, marketing strategies for every business model, creating a paperless workflow system, preparing for normalcy, right? At some point, COVID is going to subside and business is going to look differently, okay? Succession planning. Now, the speakers will include Vin, myself, Vita, Nicole Heimer, Steve Burston, and Dan Anhauser. The first day is open to anyone. So you can come, you can join, you can be there, you can take part in all the activities. And the final 2 days are exclusive to Exciting Windows members only. This is when we get real and we talk numbers and we really share. So, of course, you can join Exciting Windows, but you're welcome to come as our guest. To learn more and to register for the event, you can go to excitingwindows.com/CEO guest. Okay, excitingwindows.com/CEO guest. It will also be in the show notes. Now, and because Vita is just as crazy pants as I am when it comes to being busy, Vita is teaching a Luann University course that is going to kick off October 28th, 2021. She'll be teaching how to scale your window treatment business to your first $1 million year. And you can get the details on this course by going to luannuniversity.com. All right. Today's conversation with Vita will be of help to anyone with a business whose process includes creating estimates, purchase orders, work orders, all of that. It is an overview of Vita's foundational system that has allowed her to scale her own window treatment business. Okay. So I told you there's a lot to cover, but don't worry. All of the events are included in the show notes. And just to remind you, all the podcast show notes can always be found at luannniagara.com. All right. So let's get to this conversation with Vita. We're talking systems, her superpower, but not just any systems, digital systems that will help you quit wasting time so you can come up for air, get your business and your personal life back on track, and give you the space to think about scaling. Hey, Vita, thanks so much for coming back to WTF. I love these shows with you.
Oh, Luann, thank you so much for having me back. You are my amazing thing that's happening to me today. That's been my new motto. One amazing thing per day, and you're it for me today.
Oh, that's fun. Well, you could be mine too then. Yay.
And maybe more amazing things will happen. But so far, before 10:30, this is it, right?
That's awesome. That's great. So here's the thing. The other amazing thing that's going to happen today is we're going to talk about project management system, specifically a digital project management system. And I'm going to share with you, Vita, that of course I've had this up close look at your business for several years now. And I've known that you've run a digital project management system, and it has always frightened the heebie-jeebies out of me. I will just tell you that. It's very, very, very extensive and very well thought out. And I've always looked at it and thought that would be great, but not for us. Like we can't. Well, the cool, good news is that I have been floating it to the team off and on over the last year and a half. Like, this is something we should do. And Monday in our sales meeting, we're like, that's it. Line in the sand. By
Yes.
busy season next year, by spring
Woohoo!
2022, we are adopting this.
Oh my God. I am so excited.
I
I am
know,
so
I know.
excited. I can't wait. I love that you guys have created a deadline. I mean, first step, of course, is to make a decision, but
Hmm.
then, you have the goal with the deadline. Ah, amazing.
Well, and I'm
Amazing.
going to tell you what, when you do the Lou University class, which is like the blown up version of this, this
Yep.
one thing that we're going to talk about today,
Yep.
you're going to have some Window Works faces sitting in there and
All
eyeballs looking at
right.
you. Yes, yes. So, the thing about it is Window Works has a very, very specific project management system. So it's not as though there are many businesses that have not developed their project management system. We have. Ours is very specific. It's very robust. It is a
Hmm.
huge project management system, but it is all paper based. And we have just seen the need as we scale from $3 to $5 million practically in a blink that it is necessary to adopt the digital. So I know that we have experienced pain points. Tell me what, in your experience, Vita, is that other business owners are experiencing when they finally say it's time to really get clear about a project management system.
Yeah, well, and the first one is exactly what you alluded to Luann. It is very much driven by COVID right now, but we're all experiencing these incredible sales and this incredible sales volume that's happening. The demand is through the roof. Unfortunately, the supply is not so much, but that's a whole different conversation. But the way this demand and increased sales manifest themselves in an everyday setting is it is more emails to manage, it is more texts to answer, it is more inquiries from prospective clients to answer, it is more spec changes to handle and manage. So oftentimes when we put together an estimate, we go through multiple iterations, and that all takes time and bandwidth and energy. And so when we have to manage all those additional things via a paper, that creates its own set of challenges. But another set of challenges is that we have to remember those. We have to remember and keep it all in our heads, and that ultimately leads to burnout. And
Mm.
that's ultimately what I don't want. That my ultimate goal, right? I don't want for myself to get to a place where I don't feel like I have enough personal time and kind of burning the candle at both ends. I don't want my staff to feel like they're completely and always and constantly operating at like this overwhelmed, like it's a state of overwhelm is
Mm.
essentially is what I'm trying to say. And when you don't have a central place where all of those text inquiries, DMs, PMs, spec changes, back and forth with vendors, everything that we do on a daily basis in order to execute, first to get an order and then to execute an order, when we don't have a central place to house all of that information and we keep it in our heads, it's no place to run an efficient and productive business. And that's a huge pain point that I know personally because I've gone through the same process about 3 years ago. And Luann, I also know it from the students, my students at Luann University. They come to the class a lot of times because they're like, this is it. Enough. I cannot possibly do it. I'm so exhausted. There's too many balls in the air, too much happening at the same time. I'm wearing way too many hats. Something needs to give. Something needs to stop. And one of those things is a centralized repository of information. And of course, that's something that we call a digital project management system.
And so the thing is, to be clear, in there are two specific pain points that feed on each other. One is when you don't have a system in place at all to gather the information, record the information, and understand like what the status is of a particular order. Has the hardware been ordered? Has the fabric been ordered? Have the work orders been sent? And then secondarily is tracking that through the process of it's all been done by your part, but did the fabric leave. I mean, I've had designers say to us, 3, 4, 5 weeks into an order, hey, what's our status on this? And we're like, hey, the status is we're still waiting for your fabric. And what we've had them say is, oh my goodness, we didn't realize we requested the PO, but we never sent the payment. And now here it is, it's sitting here. And so it's that the one pain point is not having a finite system for the management of the project from sold to completion. And then the second pain point, which you address, is what you're talking about is having all the information, but having it in all different places, not having it in one central digital, as you said, repository so that you can access it at the same time. So two different problems that feed on each other, but both exasperating.
Both, yes, exactly. Both are exasperating. Where it really then actually even elevates to the next level, Luann, is that not only do we as entrepreneurs want to keep our heads about each other and not feel like we're running around like chicken with heads cut off, but when we realize that the time has come to hire help, right? And usually that help, well, for different people, it may look differently. For some, it may look like an administrative assistant to take care of all the admin tasks. Maybe for some people, for others, it may be a window treatment specialist, like a salesperson or a designer, to be more of it's either front-facing person or more of a back-end person. So there are two ways of going about it. In either case, as soon as you start thinking about hiring and help, you need to start thinking about getting that whatever system you have, right, out of your head, if that's where it was, or if your system was on paper, no matter how robust, you have to start thinking about digitizing it so that that second person, and then ultimately a third and fourth and so forth, as you scale your business, so that all the people on the team can have access to the information and can manipulate that information and then gather reports from that information.
Well, and you know what? It's funny because one of the reasons that we finally just said uncle this past Monday and said, that's it. Let's just commit to doing this. Let's get through the holiday season. Let's make this our project. We'll do the university course in the fall. We'll, start to do this. But by March of next year, we're running on this. Okay. I have to tell you the reason why. And it's because exactly what you described just happened. We have different salespeople who are obviously on the road, and they're doing a lot of phone call and work from the car, but then also, have children and are with an approved work from home 1 day a week. And I had a situation where I made a phone call to a customer on Friday to schedule the installation. And what happened was he says to me, hey, and it was a go back installation. He says to me, well, what are you coming here on Monday to do? And I said, oh, we're going to complete the installation. He goes, well, your guy was just here yesterday. And I said, yes, no, I know that. We came, we installed it. He called, there was a service required. We went and did the service, and we brought the product back to the house, to the shop to be repaired. And now we've turned it around. We were there Thursday. We fixed it Friday. We want to go back Monday. But he wanted to know what happened with it. And you see, I don't know what happened with it. I'm just making the darn appointment. Like, we were there, we took it, we fixed it. I'm coming back, buddy. Right? And the thing was, he was very nice. And I said to my team on Monday, I said, I need to run through this because here's the thing. We have a system, and the system is that we write out in words. My line at Window Works is always, if you win the $5 million lottery, you better not be the only person who knows what's happening with this order. And I said, and when this gentleman then said to me, well, just tell me what you did, I could not find the exact information of what we had done. I found the dates that we were there, but not what happened. And so Fortunately, my lead installer, Carlos, was in the building, and I just said to him, you know what, let me just get Carlos for you. And Carlos explained it. So it was fine. And he said, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just want to understand. So in the meeting on Monday, I said, how come our system broke down? We have a system where if we go to somebody's house and we have a problem, that the showroom calls that customer and says, hey, we had a problem. Here's what we're doing about it. And the salesperson calls the customer to say, hey, I heard we were out there. We couldn't fix it. And this is what we're doing about it. And I expected everybody to look at me and say, oh, sorry. But you know what happened? Catherine said, I left him a voicemail message, and my salesperson said, I left him 2 voicemail messages. But what happened was, our system is that you're supposed to write that on the order. Called this day, called this day, called this day. But because we're very much remote now, that information wasn't coming to the paperwork. And that was the deciding moment. We said, if we were digital, I would have been in the digital file for this customer, and I would have said, oh, Mr. So-and-so, I'm happy to have Carlos explain it to you, but I do see that 3 times since Thursday, just yesterday, we've reached out to you. You see?
Yep, and all the notes would have been there.
Exactly.
Because even if they were entered by different people,
exactly.
if the process calls for the notes to be entered as you call the customer, make any kind of contact with the customer, they're all there so that the next person can pick up that effort and move it forward.
Exactly. And I can sit there and be all Miss Nicey Nice and say, oh, yes, but I do see Catherine left a message, and so did Rich, and it's fine. Let me get Carlos for you, right?
Yep.
And what I said to my team yesterday was, this guy was a normal guy. He was literally saying, I just want to know. It's okay. I trust you. I've done work with you, but I just actually wanted to know. I said, any other customer could have been like, this is ridiculous and I haven't heard from you. And I wouldn't have known that you guys have all been reaching out because you didn't come back and put it on the paperwork. And so Rich looks at me.
So that was the line in the sand? Is
that
like, that's
it? Yeah,
because 2022.
Exactly, because what happens is, I know what we just did. We created another to-do for Rich in his busy life. That's the salesperson. Now he makes the 2 phone calls to the customer, but he then has to call the showroom and say, Catherine, would you write a note on the paperwork that I called the customer? Like, I could see their faces like, this is insane. But I'm like, what else are we going to do? How else are we going to keep a team this large communicating in real time? And the answer is Vita's project management system.
Right. Yeah, right. And so in the perfect digital project management system world, Rich would have called the customer and he would have accessed that project management system on his phone, right? So let's say he's in the car, he's at a traffic light, or he pulled up and to a customer and he has 5 minutes before the appointment. And so he doesn't have to have even a laptop open or even an iPad open. He can do it on the phone. And so, which actually, brings me to what makes a really great project management system. And that being one of them, it needs to be accessible from any device, be that your huge personal computer in the office or in the home office or office, be that your iPad, some kind of tablet, or your phone, or whatever you use, whatever rocks your boat, you need to be able to access it and be not just look at the information and see it, which of course is level 1, but level 2 is updated in real time. And had Rich been, not JC, whichever one of your salespeople, updated it, you would have seen it. And Luann, not only would you have been able to see it, but also Catherine didn't just get another to-do on her task list.
Right. Well, they both got new to-dos. He's got to do the work and then call the office and tell the office that he did the work, and then she's got to record the work. But I literally was like, I cannot let you guys off the hook on this. We have to have all the information because this was me. Now, listen, when for me to get a call to have a conversation like that when I really don't know what I'm talking about and the customer's like, what's going on? You know what? I'm good on my feet. You know what I'm saying? I can put you at ease.
But not everybody is a Luann.
But that's just it. Not everybody. And I don't mean because it's 40 years of these conversations, right? But if you are a newer employee, if you've only been working for my company for 4 or 5 weeks or 4 or 5 months, you might be like, you could literally literally make that situation worse by being nervous about the situation. Where I was just like, I first try the first line of defense. I don't really know, but we're fixed it. So isn't that good enough? Like, I don't say it like that. That's inside voice. You know what I mean?
But I do hear you like, who cares what
right,
happened?
Just
We
come
fixed it.
on.
We're there on Monday.
We were there Thursday. I'm coming back Monday. You should be
happy.
kissing my feet right now. Nobody's getting service like this.
That's true. From Thursday to Monday, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, come on, but and then it was like, okay, plan B. This is he's still calm, but he's not happy. And what are you going to do give exceptional service? Okay, Carlos is downstairs in the garage. Go get him. And of course, I said to Carlos, I have no idea if you have any idea what's going on this job. Do you have any idea? He's like, yes, I do. I'm like, yay.
So you run around Window Works like a maniac. Does anybody have any idea? Do you have an idea? Do you have an
Right?
idea? You got an idea. Excellent. Here's the phone.
So I love it. So the tip is that it has to be geographically available anywhere, okay, from any device, because to your point, if a salesman is going to update it, he or she can't wait to get back to the laptop. And the other thing about this too is, we're talking about how it would benefit my team at being an extended team. But the truth is, if you're a solo personal business window treatment specialist, or an interior designer even, if you're the only one doing this stuff, okay, so that happened. We were there Thursday. I'm making the call Friday. We're going back Monday. But sometimes it's 2 weeks later. It's 3 weeks later that you're like, oh, let me go tie this problem up. I finally got all the components. And even if you are the one who is the keeper of all the information, you don't always remember it all, And so to have it all in front of you, no matter where you are, if the client calls you and you're at home and you take the call, or the client calls you at your studio and you take the call, you can't go, well, I got all the paperwork in a different spot, right? Yeah. And so I love that tip, that it should be accessible by all devices, right?
Yeah. I actually have 10 different points here on what makes a great project management system. And one of my favorite ones is that it needs to be suggestive and intuitive. It's like va-va-voom.
Wow.
Sexy system.
That sounds pretty good.
I know, doesn't it? Essentially what it means, it needs to give you the options and checklists so that nothing is forgotten or fallen through the cracks. So the process workflow is already embedded into the system, which tells you what the next step needs to be, or what the options are. So, for example, just to give you a very simple example, a good project management system, of course, needs to capture what the referral source of the customer is. So for Vitalia Inc., since we only work with interior designers, our referral source is always interior designer, but we don't just put an interior designer, we put their name. So we have a database of all the interior designers who have ever contacted us and asked for a estimate. Whether that estimate turned into an order or not, we still have them as part of our database, so that we always know that a customer Jones was a referral from this particular designer. Now, for a company like you guys, like Window Works, you work with interior designers as well as with retail consumers. Well, so you always want to know where that retail consumer came from. And a good project management system gives you the options of where you would have advertised, or where you would have potentially gotten that consumer from, be that networking, be that a referral, be that a certain advertisement, or anywhere else where you promote the customer. Now, I know that maybe crosses over a little bit to a CRM system.
That's what I was wondering.
That's just, it does a little bit, and I realize that, as I said, but it's only a small example of how a good digital system gives you options to choose from. So I'm going to give you another example that has nothing to do with CRM. It has everything to do with managing a window treatment project. So you have an order from a customer, and it is for a pair of functional draperies on decorative hardware. It has 2 motorized woven wood shades under those draperies. It also has a rod-to-rod on the door, and it has upholstery. So we'll call it Customer Smith living room, right? So in order for your admin to know what to order, what kind of purchase orders to place off of this estimate, she can either look at all of your paperwork and say, okay, I see that we need 21 yards of this fabric, and I see that we need this traverse hardware because these are functional drapes, and I see that we need another fabric for this upholstery. Sounds good. I think I went through the order. I think, it seems to be good. She places the fabric comes in, the hardware comes in eventually, and then it's time to, let's say, install, right? And you prepare for the installation, and all of a sudden, the person who prepares, or worse, the installer, either before leaving for the install or even worse at the install, realizes that, yes, I have the drapes, yes, I have the traverse hardware, I brought the chair that was reupholstered, and I have the rod-to-rod curtains, but guess what? I don't have any hardware to put these rod-to-rod curtains on, right? And so you're like, and that's it, unless that installer happens to have something laying around in his truck to to kind of jerry rig, which is possible.
Right.
Some installers do have these, little Kirsch curtain rods laying around, but a lot of them wouldn't. I mean, that means that installation is not complete, and there's a whole bunch of consequences that happen when the install is not complete that ultimately cuts into our margin. So let's bring this back to the digital project management system, and it being suggestive and intuitive, because that's the benefit kind of that we're talking about here. So within that project management system, there would be a checklist of all the product order components that are available for you to order. So it's a whole list of maybe 10 items, maybe 20, depending on how, first of all, detail you want to make it, and second of all, how you run your business. But as part of that checklist, there would be, do you need this hardware? Do you need it? Is there fabric? Is there fabric A? Is there fabric B? Is there fabric C? Do you need hardware A, hardware B? Do you need foam for if it's an upholstery piece? Do you need batons if it's reverse hardware? Here's another example. The installer could have gotten to the installation. He would have put up the drapes. There's no batons. Now, that certainly doesn't make the install go completely awry, but it certainly does mean that somebody has to go back to put up those batons. So my point here is that a good project management system, when it is suggestive and intuitive, has the templates and the checklists that guide you through your decision making. Wow. So that you don't just kind of remember, oh yeah, by the way, we need batons. Oh yeah, by the way, if we're doing upholstery, maybe I need to think about ordering foam. Oh yeah, by the way, if we're doing rod to rod, I need to remember to order those little
cuts and measures.
Yeah, exactly. So that template and checklist as part of the project management system is already set up. It's right there. So all you need to do is check off the things that you need to order, and then nothing, there's no opportunity for anything to be forgotten.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, especially as window treatment people, we're going to know this if you work with, say, ComfortTex, for example. When you go to their platform to place an order for even a cellular shade, it's prompting you all the way down. It's like, what's the collection? What's the color? What's the room? What's the operating system? Is it a top down, bottom up? All of that's what, in other words, when you place an order like that through a system like that, you can't forget the color. You can't forget the quantity, because it will not let you complete the order if something hasn't been selected for every drop down. And so what you're saying is, in your digital project management system, you've sort of emulated that sort of a thing. If I'm doing something on a drape, it's going to say, do you need lining? Do you need batons? What's your fabric? What's your trim? And if you don't have trim, then you just say no. You
just don't check it off.
You don't check it off,
appear on your potential order orders on the list of
Estimate or
orders
the
that
right,
you
yeah.
have to
Yeah.
that you have to order.
So that's awesome. And that is an actual critical thing, because that is where in our paper version of our project management system, we are relying on, did I remember to write down that I need trim? And then did I notice it when I wrote it down and I placed the order and checked that I did it? So it's that intuitive and suggestive is really outstanding.
Yeah.
I love that.
I would say anytime, so this actually goes back to the very first question you asked, how do you know that you need a project management system? Anytime an answer to a question is, oh, I just know, or oh, I remembered it right there. Those are your two keywords. That's your indication. If you guys are answering your questions, if somebody were to come into the business and say, why do you do that? I just know, right there.
Red
then
flag.
It's not good enough. It's a red flag. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I love it. And then, just a little bit of conversation about CRM. So I could see, like, again, if you are a window treatment business and you've got probably even 5 people on your team, you do say 1 million plus in business, you've probably already graduated to having some sort of CRM. And by the way, if you opened your business from day one and started with a CRM, hats off to you, because you've been collecting your data and building your email list from day one. And I'm so happy and proud of you. Okay. But you do sort of get to a point where you're like, okay, again, this is all in my head. What is it doing there, right? We're not collecting the data in a proper way. But the thing is that what I love about this is it sounds like you're saying, if I don't have a CRM already, maybe I have not done it, no matter the size of my business, that having a digital project management system, I can incorporate some of those things that I would want my CRM to capture, which is, name, address, rank, serial number, how they heard about us, referral source, blah, blah, blah.
Yes,
Whereas
because that's your basic level of information that you want to put into any database. Because essentially, Luann, this is what we're talking about. Any kind of system, whether it's a customer management system or project management system, it is in its basis, it's a database. Okay. And the database has rows, it has columns. Actually, I hate to tell you, it's a spreadsheet. Any system, no matter how pretty it looks, and no matter what the front end looks like to you when you look at it on the screen, in the back end, there's some sort of spreadsheet that fuels it all. Okay. Maybe that's why I like it so much, because I do dream and think in spreadsheets. So as part of that database, there's definitely some basic information that needs to be put in. And to your point and to mine earlier, there's a little bit of crossover between CRM and PMS, the other PMS, not the one that you guys all thought of. PMS stands for Project Management System. There's a little bit of that, but certainly each system has their own designation, with project management system being making sure that your projects flow through the kind of the continuum from the beginning when you just get the prospect to the very end when you get a good review from that from the customer.
Right. Now, for a company like WindowWorks that already has a CRM, we use Market Sharp, which is a great find that we came across through Exciting Windows, and they're a great partner of Exciting Windows, and many of the businesses in Exciting Windows are on the Market Sharp platform. We love it. It's robust. It's all the things. So when we go to this digital project management system, we're not going to jump ship on Market Sharp. We're going to keep, because that has a whole lot more that it can do with our client data, and it doesn't project manage the thing. So for a company like mine, you wouldn't look at us and say pitch one or the other. It's use them in tandem. Just capture basic information in the PMS system, and then for the CRM, we use it for marketing and for email things and campaigns and all the things, right?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
But a smaller or newer company to the whole digital world could get by with just one, for the time being, until you really, are really collecting and want to really utilize the CRM for marketing and outreach, right?
Yeah. That's right. So another, Luann, another really great benefit of having a good project management system, or another sign that yours is good. So this is really, let's say, for people who want to investigate their own. And there's certainly many project management systems out there, and I'm not necessarily advocating for one or the other. My job here today, guys, is to teach you how do you know that you need one, and also what really makes a good one. So, take notes. Like, it has to be cloud-based. It has to be accessible from any device. It has to have dedicated logins. It has to be secure, meaning permissions. It has to be suggestive and intuitive. Well, one other benefit, or a sign rather, that a good PMS has, is that it has to have the ability to have the information, quote unquote, sliced and diced, so that it produce various views and various reports. So I'll give you an example of something that happened a couple of months ago personally with me, and it actually happened to be during the time that I taught your class, Luann, at Luann University. The Scaling to Your First $1 Million class. I was teaching one of the modules, and I was showing the guys how I do my calendaring and how I do my installations and how I book my installer. So I was looking at the project management system, and there's a view there that tells me how much business I have at each stage of the whole continuum of order. And hopefully we'll get into it. I have 10 different stages, but one of those stages is an expediting stage. It's the biggest one. It starts with the minute that we receive a deposit from the customer, and it stops when the whole order is ready for the install. Okay, so back in May, when I was teaching this class and was preparing for my next module, I was looking at the Airtable, which is what happens to be the software that I use, and I could see that in expediting, I had $400,000 in business, right? So this is the money that I received, well, deposits rather, that I've already received on the $400,000 in revenue. Okay, so that's the stuff that I had to order, and I had to expedite, and I had to follow up on, and we had to, open packages, and we had to fabricate, and we had to, do all the things that you do between the time that you get the deposit and the time that you install in order to prepare the order. And $400,000 in business, it's a decent amount of business.
It sure is.
So that was kind of an eye-opening in and of itself, because I knew that we were busy. I knew that my girls were kind of getting a bit, and guys were getting a bit overwhelmed. And it's not like I was wondering why that was happening. You kind of know that it's been busy. It's busy, and you know that you're going, you know that you're overwhelmed. But then when you see that number, and I'm like, wow, we have 400,000 in operations right now. Wow. It's happening. It's circulating. It is like, it's going, it's moving, it's shaking.
Right.
So when you look at that specific number right there and then, it kind of provides, a certain level of validation that you're not just busy because you're not good enough. You're not busy because maybe you could be doing something better. You're not busy because of, even just back orders. And of course, that's certainly a contributing factor. But man, we're busy because there's a lot of
because we're
stuff
busy
on the plate. It's that much volume, and that's what I started the episode with. It's just, there's a lot of volume, and when you see it in black and white like that, it gives you a whole different level of awareness. Okay, but next. Well, first you get this awareness, and that's lovely. But then the next question becomes, what do you do with that awareness? And what became very clear to me is that at that point, back in May, I had my installer booked for about 2.5 or so days a week. And that has been kind of a historic booking that I've done from previous months, but those previous months haven't been as high. So maybe in previous months, we were at 200 in operations, maybe 300 in operations. And now I'm looking at 4, and I'm also looking at the pipeline and thinking, wow, we're going to need more of his time. And I better book his time right now in May for September, October, November, so that all this business that is getting produced, getting ordered, getting put together for a future install, we have time, we have well, right, the
The
installer has the
reserve
time.
time,
We have
yeah.
reserved, right? We have him reserved to actually install, because the downside of that, like, what's the flip side of that, is that we actually make all of this business happen, and we still have him booked 2 days a week, and all of a sudden we have all this production laying around waiting for him to free up, and all of a sudden then our lead time goes from, it used to be 4 to 6 weeks before the back orders. Now it's, then at one point it became 6 to 8 weeks. Well, with, if I didn't do anything about my discovery in May for fall, at this point we would have been at like 12 to 15 weeks, and I couldn't have blamed the back orders. The only person or situation I could have blamed is because I didn't book my installer far enough in advance, knowing how much business I had on the books. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. I do. It's what you're doing. It's a way to, literally just the way we get up every morning and we look at our bank accounts and we look at our credit card statements to make sure that everything is copacetic. It's like looking at the actual slice of your business and evaluating, do you have the manpower set up? Do you have the supply set up? Do you have the things? It's like, I love that you were able to do that you were able to have that aha moment and
Yep.
turn around and say, we do it the same at WindowWorks. Like, of course, all the eyeballs are mine, but then I will sit there and we'll start to look and we'll say, oh, okay, in 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we're going to need Saturdays out of you guys. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to, why can't we get everything installed, right? And it's like, oh, because we have so much business. So I think that's awesome that you're able to use the reports that your digital project management system generates to not only manage the projects in real time, but also to help you project and manage the projects over the coming months. And I can't go past this for a moment, Vita, and not just like take a second to high five you and congratulate you, because as you were describing that story and you were describing how that one moment in May, you're looking at more than $400,000 in current projects in expediting. It brings me back to the very first time I ever spoke to you, our very first coaching session, and you were consistently hitting 450 to 500 in year total sales and wanted to break to 750. And you said to me, if you can help me do that, then you are my coach. And I just think, wow, what a huge difference that you're doing that in a 6 or an 8 week period, $400,000 in sales, when that used to be what you did for a whole year.
In a year. I know, it's crazy, right?
It's
really crazy. And that all happened within what, like 2 or 3, 3 years or so.
3 years it's been. And by the way, I want to be very clear. I know that my role in that was mindset. Your role in it was this kind of thing, doing the back end things to make it so that your business could be supported and could scale. I have since worked with other, like Peggy Morgan's, to help her do the back end of her window treatment business. But that is not what I did for you. I'm not taking credit for that here. It was always pushing you mindset wise. I know that was the thing. It was like you said, everybody has said it's not possible to sell 750 in 1 year if I'm the only salesperson. I'm like, well, sweetie, that's just horse crap. And so you have really worked very hard to consistently refine the systems and the processes on your business, and the actual reward of it is that you still have a reasonable life with your small children, your husband. You have added few team members, only a few, and yet you have doubled, and you're moving on to tripling your business volume and managing it without being the chicken without the head. It's a remarkable accomplishment, Vita.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We do, sometimes I kind of brush it off and I'm like, okay, whatever, what's next?
No, not to be underestimated.
And it is nice. It's very nice to take a second and be like, yeah, I've done that. And you were a huge part of understanding what is possible, Luann. But I also, as you were saying it, I want you to take more credit for the system than you really are taking, from the standpoint of when you as a business person know what's possible for you. When you are no longer burdened down by research, by wondering, by wasting your bandwidth on figuring things out on your own from the standpoint of, can I do it? Can I not? Have other people done it? How do I do it? What is necessary to do it? Like all those things, when you're not like bogged down with it, when you can have a coach, someone who is further down the line than you are, who tells you that yes, it is possible. Yes, I have done it. Here's how I did it. When you have that as a foundation, you can then take that knowledge and run with it and make it even better, which
Right.
is what I
Yeah.
feel like. Well, and not better maybe is not the
No,
right
you
word,
did.
but well,
You
it's
did.
like you can work within your own superpower,
Mm.
and mine happens to be, spreadsheets and
Hmm.
project management systems and databases, and and only from, I say databases, like, if my husband were to listen to me, he's like, he would have been, I think, because he's a techie, and I'm not like, I don't consider myself a techie, but on a balance between like sales and marketing, and like what and mindset, what you do, and me trying to refine it into a system and bring it into a way of efficiently and productively running the business. That's what your feedback, Luann, bottom line is, your feedback empowered me
Mm.
to work and function within my superpower, so that I can make what is theoretically possible and practically, in your case, I made it practical for my case, for
Yes.
my business.
No, I agree. I hear what you're saying, and but I really just, when you told the story, I had to just sit there and say, "Whoa." Here you are doing it in a 6 or an 8 week capture, that amount of volume. And it's so evident the work that you've put in the back end to make that. And I agree with you. It is a superpower of yours to be able to understand it and see it in the context of spreadsheets and stuff. But the thing about the difference is that you do it. And I hope that anybody listening to this show today that is experiencing these pain points of not having the information in one space, and whether you're a solo and you're trying to remember, did you order the rods and did you order the foam, and or you're like me and you're just can't get the communication all in one spot from the different various team members. If to understand that it is absolutely necessary, first of all, to have the process of project management to get your order through the various 10 stages that it takes, from here's your deposit, thank you so much for your deposit, and here's your product. But then to understand that to have it digital is the next step in efficiency, and to be able to cull the information, capture it, and be able to use it in real time the way Vita is using it in real time, from little things to making sure and knowing without having to get up in the middle of the morning at 3 o'clock and going, oh my God, did I order the rods?
Yep.
To being able to look at in the middle of a class, teaching a class, and having this aha that I got 400K in product. No wonder we're busy. I got to
Yep.
get the installer booked. I mean, the benefits, the impacts to the business are so much. And I will also just add, it is a lot to do it. You have done it, and it's taken a long time. We're going to take advantage and leverage, a lot of what you've done by learning it from you. I mean, when I say we, I mean my team and my staff, which is going to sit in your class, okay? Others may have this innate superpower as well and want to just be inspired to do this, to put their system to a digital, intuitive and suggestive system. And like you said, you use Airtable. Somebody can make their own Airtable. Somebody can make it in
That's right.
Trello. Somebody can make
Yep.
it in Monday morning, whatever these darn
Yep.
things are called. The
Yep.
the message is to do it. That's the
Yep.
point. The message is to do it.
Yep. And also, I just want to make sure that another kind of a very important and actionable takeaway. There are 10 different stages that I specifically create, and of course, I can tell you a whole lot about each stage, but I want to at least name them. So, Luann, for those people that are do-it-yourselfers
Mm-hmm.
who want to
Yes.
take a Monday morning or a spreadsheet or an Access database and want to do it themselves, like these are the stages through which every single window treatment order goes. And Some of these you guys know intuitively, some of these you know specifically, but I actually had to sit down and be like, okay, what comes first, what comes second, how does this flow, so that I can set it up in the system. So here they are. I'm just going to kind of rattle them off to you, and this is kind of a note-taking opportunity. So the first stage so this is for us, this is for Vitalia Inc., and of course you can take it and appropriate it to your business. So measurement stage is number one. Number two is estimating stage, which is where we actually put together the quote. Number three is waiting for approval / deposit. So once that quote was put together, then it kind of goes into sort of a holding pattern. There's really nothing for you specifically to do there. However, a good system shows you how much money you have in that bucket. So if you were to follow up with that customer or follow up with that designer, or kind of give them a nudge of some sort, of course that's where marketing comes in, you can potentially bring some of those dollar amounts from the waiting for approval / deposit into the next stage. And that next stage is expediting. And like I said before, expediting this is where stuff happens, right? This is when you really go to work. It's the biggest stage, it's the longest stage. It's from the time that you receive that deposit to the time that the whole order is ready to be installed. That takes us to the next stage, which is naturally the installation stage. Then once the order has been installed, then it goes into a balance stage. Now, this could be a very quick and short stage, because if the customer had paid the installer right as he was leaving, which hopefully oftentimes that happens, that's great. It kind of skips the whole balance stage. But truth be told, sometimes it doesn't happen for a variety of reasons. Some are good and some are not so good. But until you get that money back, you have AR, you have accounts receivable. We call it our balance stage. Once we receive the balance, here at Vitalia Inc., we pay a referral commission. Some people don't, and that's totally cool. So again, you appropriate it to your business. Next is a service call. So just in case that install didn't happen, just like in your example, Luann, so on Thursday it didn't quite happen, and it needs to be reinstalled, or something needs to happen and then it needs reinstalled again. That's a service call. Then it goes into it goes into share pictures. So this is where we share the pictures with our designers. Then it goes ask for review, and I think that's number 10. That's 10 stages of our project management system of how the order goes from the very beginning to the very end.
I love it. I love it. And I have to tell you, I love every stage. I love that it's all very clear, but there's two stages that are my favorites here. Okay. I love the waiting for approval / deposit stage. This is our dialing for dollars right here.
Yep.
That's when
marketing galore.
That's right. So for me on Friday, I would my waiting for approval deposit stage was what is it called? A little, oh my God, like a tray, a stack of trays, right? Uh-huh. And one tray had the label on it, hot. And every Friday I sit down, I pull every quote out of hot, and we dial for dollars. Hey, what's going on? You got the quote. Are you doing it? You're not doing it. So I love that your stages include that. And the other stage that I really like is balance due stage. And the reason why I like this, Vita, as a separate stage is because you're so right. It's so easy to just say, well, we don't need a separate stage for that because the installer is going to pick up the check, or we require the payment to be received before we schedule the installation. Well, those are the when everything goes the way they're supposed to go things. But what happens is there's always the exceptions to the rules. There's always the designer who, oh my goodness, my kid, this happened and I didn't get to show up at the install. I've got the check. I'll mail it to you. Awesome. Love that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or there's I know that I'm supposed to send it to you beforehand, but oh my goodness, my client's out of town and the photographer's coming. Can't you install it? We're going to make exceptions for our friends and colleagues that patronize our business. Right. And so what happens is if balance due is not its own separate stage, to get checked off as done, that's where we lose our money. We go 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road and we're like, there's no active mechanism for making sure that the money is collected. And if we're not collecting the money, folks, there's not a point. There's what are we doing?
That's right. What's the point?
What are we doing? Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
amazing. All of this is so well thought out. I think it's outstanding, Vita. And I do love that it can be, you can do this yourself. You can create it yourself with paper if that's your first and only way to do it, because if you have no project management system, then all you have to do is take these 10 stages and blow them out. Literally, under measurement, there's going to be X amount of steps. Who measures? How does the measure appointment get set up? What happens with the measurements once it's done? So it's not like it's 10 stages and you run a window treatment business. It's 10 categories that each have to be blown out, and you've blown it out on Airtable. We've blown it out on WindowWorks in a paper system. Somebody could blow it out on an Excel spreadsheet. The point is to have it so that you can start to, sleep a little better at night and know that, you're not dropping all the balls, right?
Yeah, that's right, Luann. Really, in kind of bottom line of this, in closing, a good project management system is your center of truth. This is where it all begins, this is where it ends, and this is where everything gets housed. Not in the paper filing cabinet, not in your head, not even in QuickBooks. I know there's some people like, well, I use QuickBooks for some of it. Not even that. And we could probably do a whole different podcast episode on how all of this is tied to financials, and that could be kind of fun. But the point is that whichever project management system you choose, be that Airtable, be that Monday Morning, be that Asana, whatever it is, Excel, or even if you choose paper, because that's your, if you're a solopreneur and you do decide to put all of that information on paper, that is your one central point of truth where everything resides, lives and dies, and flourishes, and that's how your business is run.
I love it. I love it. So good, Vita. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Really excited. I'm really excited to see and hear and learn how the different window treatment professionals interpret it, make it their own, and improve their systems and processes. Thanks tons, Vita, for being here today.
Absolutely, Luann. My pleasure, always.
First of all, I just have to thank Vita for her just open giving nature in always just like, Lou, you want me to teach him how I do it? No problem. I mean, honestly, you heard her. She invested time and money to create this system for herself, and she's willing to just tell us about it and share it with us. Okay. So high five and thank you, Vita, for always being so open and so generous and so sharing with me and with the rest of us. Okay. And I have to say, if you are ready to get rid of the Post-it note madness and avoid the headaches that you have grown accustomed to while you have tried to keep track of all of your customers, this project management system is something else, okay? So just like Vita said, you see the red flags. I know them, okay? I know them from back in the beginning. I know them now. And I said it in the show. In WindowWorks, we're committing. We are, first of all, taking Vita's class at Lou University. I have all of my team signed up for it because it takes, you got to dedicate the time and energy to doing it. All right. And, I love that it is cloud-based as our team has grown. So whether you're a team of one or two, if you're a team of one especially, you want to access your information from home, from your office, wherever you are, from your vacation in the Bahamas, right? And for us, to have the whole extended team have access is so important. And really what I'm looking forward to is having the notes of the progress of the job updated in real time, where we all can see it in real time. Because, the core of our businesses is communication with our client, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's setting the expectations and making sure that the communication stays good, because what we've learned in this last year and a half of COVID is that probably 8 out of 10 of our clients that have been disappointed, upset because of a delay or a shortage or a back order or whatever it is, as long as we are consistently communicating with them, I would say that 8 out of 10 get it and don't go down crazy pants lane, right? They're just like, they're not happy. Let's be serious. Why should they be? But they're not off the rails. It's only when you do the double whammy to a consumer and you are behind for whatever reason, yours created or someone else in the supply chain before you, right? Doesn't matter. It's when you have that delay or that mistake or whatever that deficiency is, and then you don't communicate. You see, that's the double whammy, and that's where your business is going to take a stomach punch every time. And so I know that as we have had our staff, different ones randomly working home from a day a week or whatever, and all of these balls in the air, maybe I'm at the office and I'm looking at the last communication and it's like from 3 days ago, and then I'll have a conversation. Somebody will be like, no, so-and-so called them yesterday. I'm like, well, I don't know that because it's not written on here. So, it's 2021 is what it is. Okay. So, and all the things with it. Right. And I just love the customized dashboards, the reporting, anyone that is addressing customer inquiries or vendor requests, all of it's right there at the fingertips. And this is a time saver. I have to tell you, I run in circles at WindowWorks, checking in with, I told you, I'm the CCO there, right? The Chief Complaint Officer. You know that. I've been promoted to the CCO. So this is what I'm doing. I'm constantly tracking down the trail of deficiencies, whether it started with us or started with a vendor or a customer, changed something or whatever it is. But what a time saver to have everyone updating it in real time. Okay. And I love it. All right. Now, what if you already have a CRM in place and you're happy with it? Well, this is, I'm not intending to ditch our CRM. At WindowWorks, we use MarketSharp. It is a huge, robust CRM system, okay? It is specific. It's not specific to window treatment, but like you guys have Mydoma Studio for interior designers where it's built by an interior designer for an interior designers. MarketSharp was built for the window treatment home remodeling industry. And as Exciting Windows became involved and partnered year after year with MarketSharp, they did make this specific. They customized it for window treatment people, okay? And so it's like our Mydoma Studio. All right. So, but I use that for, capturing all the client information. I use that for marketing. I use that for outreach, right? Marketing and outreach to our existing clients. I use that for generating sales reports and finding out how many leads a particular sales rep of mine has been on and how many times they've closed it and what percentage of profitability are they doing. We do all that there. This is to manage the project. And so I'm very, very excited. And I have to say, you can do it yourself. You certainly can. Vita did. You can work with a geeky, computer experty person and customize Monday.com, Trello. I'm sure it's all possible. Or if you want, you can come to Luann University and you can learn it over 6 weeks from Vita herself. All right. So the registration opens it opens today, the day this show is airing. Today, Friday, October 1st, early bird registration is open. All right. If you're interested in seeing what it's about, please go to luannuniversity.com. All right, you'll see Vita's class and all the other classes that we have for you there. You know what happens? I think I've explained this to you before. Luann University is literally all the times that I've had a conversation with someone that has just rocked my world and I'm like, you know how to do that and you're so good at it. Can you teach all the people in my community that? And then we figure it out. So whether it's Rachel Moriarty, it's Kim Merlitti, it's, Jenny Slingerland, it's Kathleen Anderson, it's Ariane Belazar, it's Jessica Harling. I'm going to miss some people. I'm telling Peter Lang and of course Vita. These are born out of these conversations where these professionals are telling me either a pain or something they went through that they are in a conversation telling me, when I finally learned how to do this, that really opened up my business in this particular area. Or they are experts and consultants like Peter Lang and Kim Merlitti and Jessica Harling, who this is the thing that they chose to do as a living, is to teach this particular superpower. And so then I've just said, well, could you adapt that for a special class for Luann University? And they say yes. So that's really, when I tell you that, go check out Luann University, it's because through your emails, the conversations we have, the conversations I have with these experts, I'm literally like seizing on the pain points that are the obstacles for you to go from one point in your business to another. And just, that opportunity to be with 6 weeks with somebody and have them just blow your mind on something that they've done themselves that's proven. And so, of course, this is the proof of it. You just heard Vita. You can hear it in her voice that she owns this information, and she has discovered and created a way to help us window treatment people be more efficient. All right. And I'm just thinking, Sarah Brennan. I'm running down all the list of and Desi. Here we go. You see, this is crazy. Anyway, I have to say thank you for showing up today. I completely appreciate that you do. I hope that when you do show up, that you don't just show up and listen, that you take something, you move it from a notebook to an action. That is how you will make the difference in your business, okay? You have to decide every day. You have to decide every day to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.